Once again, thank everybody for the support. Continue to like, continue to subscribe, and help us get over 100, then push it to 200 subscribers and everything like that as we try to build out this platform right here. So let me go ahead and share the draft board as we get ready to get started. I'll go ahead and hop inside, excuse me, the draft room when it's time to be. But right now, you see we're counting down the final 20 seconds to get ready to get this draft started right here at the National Fantasy Football Championship. I am going to have a Beat the Fantasy Exec League. Stay tuned. We'll be coming up with some instructions to help you get involved with that for everybody that want to compete on a smaller stake and on a higher stake level. We do have that coming up. So the clock is now, the draft is now started. And look at this, just like that, Jalen Hurts goes off the board first. So you never know what you'll step into in one of these drafts like this. So Jalen Hurts is the first player selected. So now this right here kind of switches up my strategy, meaning that either Justin Jefferson or Ja'Marr Chase will be available. Now, I already have a ton of Ja'Marr Chase so far this fantasy season, so I may not go with Chase. More than likely, Jefferson will be taken here because I think I'm going to start with a running back and leave Chase on the board because I don't want to be too overexposed to Chase, especially with the quarterback already out to injury. And there we go, Christian McCaffrey. So this one is kind of a little bit all over the place right here just to get started. But if I have a chance to take Justin Jefferson, I'm going to go ahead and draft Justin Jefferson. So that'll be my first pick of this draft. Justin Jefferson, stud wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings. You already know who he is, the reigning NFL Offensive Player of the Year. He's going to be heavily targeted, a lot of touchdowns. Listen, I don't think the Vikings are going to be that good of a team this year. So his targets could really go crazy because I expect them to be playing behind from a lot. So happy to get Justin Jefferson right here at 1-3. Hurts and McCaffrey going off the board first already tells you what kind of draft this is going to be. So lock in for a good one. So what that person that drafted 1-1 is trying to do, they're trying to set themselves up for a Philadelphia Eagles stack, like a Hurts and Devontae Smith stack. I could really pull the trigger on that because Devontae Smith could be on the board when I get up. So I could really throw his whole stack off. I could play it that way. I could also see what's on the board and go for it myself. You know what I'm saying? Because I would like to do that too. I like to have a good team as well. So far right now off the board, we have I took Jefferson. Then we've seen Travis Kelce go for. Now in these NFFC drafts, really in every draft, Travis Kelce is going higher and higher. He's become a top 5 pick as a tight end. Normally it's not something I like to do, but you can see why. Ja'Marr Chase goes 5. Tyreek Hill goes 6. Austin Eckler is the second running back off the board going to team 7. And then you see Cooper Kupp at 8. Cooper Kupp sliding down draft boards because of that injury. But at 8, I still like Kupp. Then we get Stephon Diggs as the 4th wide receiver off the board to team 9. Diggs had been solid, fantastic seasons ever since he joined the Buffalo Bills. So expect the good times to continue with Stephon Diggs as we rock through here and we push towards the back end of round number 1. But, as far as, putting a draft together and like how I said, that guy is trying to get a Hurts Devontae Smith stack. Okay, so really common knowledge is don't worry about drafting his team. Go ahead and draft your own team. But if there's a chance that I can throw this stack off, I might hop in here. It really depends on what's on the board. We see our second quarterback go off the board and Patrick Mahomes. In tournament play, you will see the quarterbacks go early. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably a good reason why we saw Hurts go 1. And then now we see Patrick Mahomes. Interesting to see where Joe Burrow is going to fall in this draft. Obviously, Burrow dealing with that calf strain right now. Want to see how scared or not scared people are to draft Burrow in fantasy drafts right now. So on the clock right here, National Fantasy Football Championship, $25 draft right here. Just take it kind of as like a mock draft and to get some content out there. But definitely want to start getting the board up there and start getting ready for fantasy drafts as we are into August and you guys are going to be going to Buffalo Wild Wings and hanging and chilling and drafting all season. So there you go right there. Patrick Mahomes goes off the board. Then he's followed by Saquon Barkley. Barkley is a player that I'm not that high on this year. He's only played over 13 games twice in his career, coming off a big year last year. I can obviously, you see why he's a first-round pick. But, some of Barkley's measurables have slowly been ticking down. He's a guy I'm probably going to avoid at the back end of the first round. I don't really see myself being too exposed to Saquon Barkley in fantasy leagues this year. The first round is rounded out by Team 12 taking Dallas Cowboy wide receiver CeeDee Lamb. So we see 6 wide receivers go in the first round, 3 running backs, 2 quarterbacks, and 1 tight end. Open up round number 2 with A.J. Brown. So that team is going to start off with a CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown wide receiver duo. That's pretty strong right there. Interesting to see how they're going to put the rest of the team together. Yeah, so definitely rocking and rolling right here through this draft. Try not to have no dead air and, want to speak as much as possible. But definitely thanks for everybody taking the time. Our third quarterback goes off the draft as the Buffalo Bill quarterback, Josh Allen, goes off the board. Let me get the full screen board up here for you right now. Davante Adams, a player I really like a lot this year, followed by Amon-Ra St. Brown. So we're starting to see a little bit of run on wide receivers. And then we see Nick Chubb come off the board. Nick Chubb can be viewed really as the best running back in the NFL if you think about it. That kid is nice like that. So here we go right now. Bijan Robinson, this is unbelievable. Bijan Robinson falls all the way to 2-6. So now this guy gets a start. Team 7 gets a Bijan Robinson, Austin Eckler start. I don't know why Robinson would drop into the second round. That is unheard of. He's a guy I think is going to go in the top 5. I actually considered Robinson. I would have took Robinson as the first RB off the board here. You know what I'm saying? But, you never can predict the draft. And the way this draft started, I really don't think I had any choice to take Jeff. But pretty interesting. I'll be coming up in 2 picks here. And when I look at the draft board and what's available, like I said, I already have Justin Jefferson. There are running backs coming up right now. Tony Pollard is somebody I could possibly be taking a look at. Maybe even Derrick Henry here. I want to double up at the wide receiver position. Garrett Wilson is somebody that I'm very interested in. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to go with Wilson if he's available. And if not Wilson, then I'll go ahead and get Devontae Smith and bust up that stack. Jonathan Taylor is a very intriguing player to me, but I just don't know what he's going to be. Hopefully I come back on that turn and I'm able to scoop up Josh Jacobs so I can have my first running back, a stud, to go along with those 2 wide receivers. So right now, waiting on the clock to see what my fate is going to be. Last couple of picks have all been running backs: Nick Chubb, Bijan Robinson, Najee Harris, Derrick Henry, and Josh Jacobs to do what I was just talking about. So there you go right there. So I am going to grab New York Jet wide receiver Garrett Wilson, get that good old wide receiver start, Justin Jefferson and Garrett Wilson. You just heard Aaron Rodgers on the Hall of Fame game talking about how he's going to be feeding Garrett Wilson. Could be a Davante Adams-like guy in this offense. And he also talked about getting Garrett Wilson on your fantasy team. So I'm going to go ahead and listen to Aaron Rodgers and put Garrett Wilson on my fantasy team with pick 210. And we're getting ready to come around here on this turn and see how that plays out. So right now, I think we're off to a good start, wide receiver. And there's only 3 wide receiver starts so far with Lamb and Brown, Diggs and St. Brown. And I got Jefferson and Wilson. And then now we're getting ready to see if the Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts stack actually is going to come to fruition for team number 1, as he is on the clock right now. As I come back around, I was interested in getting the running back with Tony Pollard. Now the running backs that are here, I would have to take a gamble on Jonathan Taylor. And I don't know if I want to do that. So we already can tell that this is going to be pretty tough to get the running back that you want. Mark Andrews goes off the board. So this guy goes with a Jalen Hurts, Ramondre Stevenson, Mark Andrews. Not sure how much I like that when he had the opportunity to get the stack. Now, I actually have an opportunity to possibly add Devontae Smith and go 3 wide receiver deep. One thing about drafts are you never can predict the draft, right? You could have came into this draft thinking, okay, he's got the 3rd pick. He's going to be able to get Christian McCaffrey. Well, I got Justin Jefferson. Come around, it's a run, a stretch, a run of running backs in front of me. I've already got Tony Pollard ownership. I'm not a real big Stevenson guy this year. And, there you go right there. All right, back on the clock. Running backs at the top of the board right now are Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, Ken Walker, Aaron Jones. I think I'm going to wait on running back. I'm going to go back and attack this wide receiver room, and I'm going to get the young boy. I'm going to stick to that high. I think this Miami Dolphin offense is going to be able to put up some good numbers in that AFC East. We've already seen what Jaylen Waddle is becoming. 2 great years of putting up good fantasy numbers. It's so much speed on that Dolphin team, liked how he played last year. So I'm going to go ahead and start with 3 wide receivers, and I got Justin Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, and Jaylen Waddle. Now, this was not the plan coming in. That's why you got to kind of be loose and free with your draft strategy, because you never know what you're going to get. So now that I'm 3 wide deep, I'm looking at possibly going 0 RB and maybe not taking my first running back until the 5th round or the 6th round or so. So we'll see how it builds out. Like I said, you got to stay fluid. You got to stay on your feet. But right now, after this 3 wide receiver start, let's go back to the full draft board and get the full draft board up there. And we can kind of talk about some of these guys as they come off. Just seeing Jonathan Taylor go off the board at 3-4, followed by Travis Etienne. Etienne's a very good player. His touchdown number was not where you wanted it to be last year. His receptions and carries are getting there. That's why you see him in the 3rd round despite that talent. Now, if those touchdowns tick up, and this guy can go into that fantasy running back 1 range, I fully expect that to happen. So Etienne's an interesting pick. I don't have any Travis Etienne thus far in draft season, but I had a lot of them last year. That could possibly be the reason why. But I am looking to get involved with some Travis Etienne at some point. T. Higgins comes off the board next. That is wide receiver 2 out there in Cincinnati. So T. Higgins off the board. That team right there, team 6, has Tyreek Hill, Najee Harris, and T. Higgins. So they're off to a good start right there. Chris Olave, who I was thinking about drafting when I took Jaylen Waddle. I don't have exposure to either player yet, but Olave is somebody that I'm definitely going to have some exposure to before we head into the final weekend of drafts and stuff like that. So I will have some Olave on some fantasy teams this year. Couldn't get him on this one. That Ohio State wide receiver tree is crazy. So now they add Olave, Garrett Wilson, Michael Thomas blew up a number of years ago, even though we don't know what he is right now. And then, obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. is coming down the pipe as well. Jackson Smith and Jigba. So Ohio State is definitely getting it done with their wide receivers. So shout out to them. After Olave goes, the next 2 pick goes Breece Hall and DK Metcalf. The Breece Hall pick is an interesting pick. Now, Team 8, you got to be very careful with this. Team 8 already has 2 hurt players on their team with Cooper Kupp and Breece Hall. Now, it's early enough to where you would expect Cooper Kupp to be good. They keep saying that Breece Hall is coming along, but they keep flirting with running backs outside of the New York Jet organization. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But Breece Hall is a player I like a lot, but I don't know if I'm willing to go in on Breece Hall the first year coming off the injury. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Javonte Williams last year. I was big on Williams, but sometimes I think that first year off the injury, we can be a little bit quick on pulling the trigger. So interesting to see how that plays out. Well, not Javonte Williams, but some other players as well. After Hall goes DK Metcalf. Got a 3 wide receiver start right there with Stephon Diggs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and DK Metcalf. Team 10 adds Keenan Allen to the team. I've had a lot of Keenan Allen over the years, and he's been a fantastic fantasy asset. But starting to slow down. Deebo Samuel goes to team 11 right after Keenan Allen. Deebo Samuel goes off the board right there. So that's where we stand. Is getting ready to end round 3, come back around into round 4. And I'm going to start building up my queue right now. Some of these wide receivers coming a little bit down the board that I could be looking at as a potential flex option. Jerry Jeudy, DeAndre Hopkins, top of the board. Not really intrigued with those guys. I'll throw Drake London in the queue. I will throw Scary Terry McLaurin in the queue. I will even put Calvin Ridley in the queue as well. And then I always have like a man crush on Big Mike Williams. So he'll go in the queue. And then also start to look at some running backs. Ken Walker and Aaron Jones will go in the queue. If Aaron Jones is there, he's taken. Jahmyr Gibbs is there, he's taken as well. I'll go for those two guys. And as far as throwing a quarterback in the queue, Lamar Jackson will go in my queue, and I'll throw Joe Burrow in there, see what happens. I'm not scared of the Burrow situation. I'm willing to take a gamble. I wish I could do it as a part of a stack, but it don't look like the stack is going to be out there. Or maybe we'll get Tua or Aaron Rodgers on this team, or Kirk Cousins a little bit later on. So stack is kind of go out the window. That's why I always say to remain fluid in your drafts, because you cannot predict the draft, as we tell right here. Let's go back full board, take a look at what is going on right now. TJ Hawkinson goes off the board, the latest tight end to be taken. And then you get Aaron Jones followed by Calvin Ridley. So my queue is starting to clear out. Calvin Ridley is so interesting, the prospect right now. You know how talented he is, but is he going to be, is he going to have that same rust that Deshaun Watson showed when he first came in last season after that big layoff? So that's going to be interesting. But right now in camp, Calvin Ridley is tearing the joint up. DeAndre Hopkins goes off the board. That team is also, looks like they're going 0 RB. Diggs, St. Brown, Metcalf. I'm not a big Hopkins guy, but Hopkins as your WR4 is something that I can get behind. So now this guy, Team 8, has drafted 3 players that are hurt. You might as well put a red X by his team. This is the infirmary. Cooper Kupp, followed by Nick Chubb, Breece Hall, and Joe Burrow. 3 of those players are currently hurt. I'm never really going to start taking that many injury risks like that. And it's not like this guy's even getting big value on any of these players. You may say you got a value on Breece Hall. Not really. Kupp is about the middle of the first anyway. No big value there. So, and then I think you really kind of did pull Joe Burrow up the board. And now we see Jerry Jeudy go off the board. Jerry Jeudy. I'm just real scared of what the Broncos are going to be this year. So I'm not really getting in on them or their wide receivers. If they do hit, it will be on somebody else's team and not mine. The way my queue is set up right now, Jahmyr Gibbs at the top of my queue, followed by Ken Walker. And then after that, I will go with Lamar Jackson. All right, so we're coming up, fantasy executive on deck. Justin Herbert just goes off the board, waiting on Team 4 to make their pick. And hopefully if I can add my first running back, I will do so. If Jahmyr Gibbs is there, I'd feel pretty good about how this team starts. So like I said, at one point, it looked like I was getting ready to go 0 RB, and then bam, I could have a running back fall right into my lap, attached to a great offense, should be able to catch the football out of the backfield. Everything that we thought DeAndre Swift was going to be, hopefully that's what Jahmyr Gibbs is. We are on the clock now, and we can go ahead and draft that Detroit running back, Jahmyr Gibbs. And now I'm going to move Lamar Jackson to the top of my queue. And if I can get Lamar Jackson as my quarterback, maybe a little bit later on, we can take a shot with guys like Zay Flowers and Odell Beckham, and that could be a stack. And this is optimal scoring. This is not a kind of draft where I'm going to be in here setting lineups and stuff like that every week. As you can imagine, my Sunday mornings are crazy, trying to get bets together and fancy teams together and get Shorty in an Uber and get her to where she's got to go. So it's a lot going on, you know what I'm saying? After I go with Gibbs, Christian Kirk comes off the board, followed by DJ Moore. George Kittle then becomes the fourth tight end picked. And let's see what Team 2 does in front of me right here. And then we'll get a chance to see if I can grab my guy. I can go get Pollard. I mean, not Pollard, excuse me. I can go Ken Walker if he's there. Trevor Lawrence goes off the board. Yeah, I got to take Lamar Jackson right here. Trevor Lawrence jumped Lamar Jackson. A lot of people in on Trevor Lawrence this year, but I'm going to make the safe play right here and grab my quarterback in Lamar Jackson. So right now, the way the team sets up, the way the team comes together, we can go full screen here. Right now, Fantasy Exec Squad, Justin Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Jaylen Waddle, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Lamar Jackson through 5 rounds right here in this NFFC draft. 12-team league, 6 points for the quarterback touchdown, full point per reception. I'm also going to have information in some leagues coming up, let you know how to get down there and compete against the fantasy executive. Once again, I want to thank everybody for subscribing, supporting the relaunch of the Fantasy Executive on YouTube. Tell a friend to tell a friend. All right, after Lamar Jackson goes, Justin Fields goes. Interesting team right there with Justin Fields, Travis Kelce, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor. The wide receiver one on that team is Drake London. Not sure much. You really, your top pass catcher is Travis Kelce. He's really the wide receiver one on this team right here. So pretty decent squad, pretty decent start. And then we get Ken Walker goes off the board after that mini quarterback run. Then we go on the mini running back run with Ken Walker, J.K. Dobbins, Joe Mixon, and Dalvin Cook, who still, as of now, does not have a team to call his own. Oh, boy. J.K. Dobbins. People are not really drafting Dobbins right now. He's fallen because kind of sitting out of camp. I think it's more of a contract sit-in, but this is the stupidity with these running backs again. You sitting out or sitting in because you're upset about your contract. Well, how come you don't never play, son? You don't be on the field. You're mad about the contract and you don't play. You got to perform. You know what I'm saying? Your best ability is your availability. Dobbins is super talented. I am invested. I don't want to be over-invested in a player like Dobbins. You know what I'm saying? Because that injury history is real. But Dobbins is somebody that I can get in on. If you watched the last show, my man Laquan Jones from the NFL Network, he was talking up Cam Akers. He just went. So this running back run includes Ken Walker, J.K. Dobbins, Joe Mixon, that blocking me, Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook. Now this guy has Cooper Kupp, Breece Hall, Joe Burrow. Dalvin Cook don't have a team, and he got 3 hurt players. Team 9 gets Miles Sanders. Love Miles Sanders this year out there in Carolina. So he gets his first running back of Miles Sanders. And then we see Cam Akers go off the board. I was mentioning our buddy Laquan Jones from NFL Network. He's real big and high on Cam Akers this year. He's starting to talk me into Cam Akers. I just worry about game script, but you know what? Somebody's got to run the football, and he could be bell cowish. Round 5 closes with James Cook going off the board. I love me some James Cook this year. I think he's going to be a big-time player for the Buffalo Bills. Now we start round 6 with David Montgomery coming off the board. Take a pause for the cause right here. We are pretty deep into this. Probably get you to about 10 rounds into this draft, and then we'll shut it out. You know what I'm saying? Wanted to get a good start. Wanted to get in here and talk some fantasy football with you. Get some clips cut up out of this and stuff like that, and have a good time and start the conversation. Always willing to listen to your comments in the comments down there and respond to those and get that conversation started. All right, back to the draft round 6. David Montgomery, Mike Williams, Alexander Madison, Cam Akers. I like the way this team is coming together right here with Pat Mahomes as the quarterback. Your 3 wides are Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen, and Calvin Ridley with Cam Akers and Alexander Madison. Madison's going to be kind of shaky. Both of these running backs can be kind of shaky, but I do like it. That team that started with the 4 wide receivers adds a second running back in DeAndre Swift. So now you got Sanders and Swift. You're taking the gamble with both of those players. I think the gamble with Sanders plays out more so than the gamble with Swift. Then we see 2 tight ends. We see 2 wide receivers go off the board, and Brandon Ayuk and Chris Goodwin. And then Kyle Pitts goes off the board. So let me get over here and get to my queue and look to see what we got going on right now. Wide receivers, Tyler Lockett and Michael Pittman will go into my queue. Running backs, not great where we're at right now. Javonte Williams, Damian Pierce, Rashard White, James Conner, Isaiah Pacheco. I really don't like any of these dudes, to be 100% honest with you. If I had to take one, I would take the risk with the injured player in Williams. But right now, I kind of do need to get that second running back. So this is going to be interesting. I'm on deck. I've seen a couple of guys go up my queue, including Michael Pittman. I think I'm going to take the shot with Javonte Williams, but I make sure I got to come back later on and back him up with Sam Perine. So Perine's a player that I'm going to get. All right, my turn on the clock. Look over the tight ends. Dallas Goedert, Darren Waller. Not interested in anything near Evan Ingram. Still got a lot of him. Wide receivers, Tyler Lockett, Diontae Johnson, Marquise Brown, George Pickens. Nothing great right here. So I'm going to go and I grab the player that could be the best player out this bunch. I'm going to take Javonte Williams to be my running back 2. Risky pick right there with Javonte Williams. But if he hits, then my running back room should look pretty good with Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs. And obviously Lamar Jackson is going to give me some rushing yards as well. Coming back on this turn, I want to go best player available coming back on this turn. Tyler Lockett just went. He would have gotten the guy I would have looked at. I think Marquise Brown is interesting, playing on a team where he should get a lot of touches. Diontae Johnson also interesting. I think Kenny Pickett steps up this year. You know what? I think I may go down the board though and get my guy Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think he's going to be a stud. Dameon Pierce, Rashid White, James Conner, Isaiah Pacheco are the running back to the top of the board right now. Not really favored of any one of those guys. So, yeah, I think I'm going to move Smith and Jigba. Of course, he goes right in front of me. Did that just happen? Yeah, so I can't pick him. He just went right in front of me. So you get snaked in drafts sometime. The shit sucks, you know what I'm saying? Now I'm sitting here looking at this board like, where do I go? Do I go to Alvin Kamara? 3-game suspension? Nah, I think I may try to get Kamara in the next go around. All right, I'm on the clock right now. Dameon Pierce just went. Kamara is out there. Tight ends, nothing spectacular. Wide receivers, is it Diontae Johnson at wide receiver? Or is it Alvin Kamara dealing with a 3-game suspension? I am going to not go to the suspended player. I'm actually going to give a shot to Diontae Johnson. I don't have him in any formats or any teams yet this year. So he'll come out here and he'll be my wide receiver 4, Diontae Johnson from the Pittsburgh Steelers, to go along with Jahmyr Gibbs, Javonte Williams, Lamar Jackson. Probably going to need to come back to this running back room. Now, guys like Kamara and Pacheco on the next turn, if they're there, there'll be interesting picks. A.J. Dillon as well would be an interesting guy. Remember, I got to get Sam Pirine. I want to make sure that we get him so we lock up that Denver Bronco backfield. I probably throw Rashad Penny in my queue as well, even though he's injured all the time. Also, Brian Robinson is a guy that when you wait a little bit on your running backs, you may have to go to. Tight ends, Evan Ingram is going to go in the queue. He's my favorite of what's left. Pat Fairmouth will go in the queue as well, but I don't want 2 Pittsburgh wide receivers or 2 Pittsburgh pass catchers. So there you go right there. Dallas Goedert. Man, I'm just sick of Dallas Goedert, but he does go in the queue. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you get tired of players, but they still can produce. And I don't think we need a wide receiver on this turn. I could have swore Smith and Jigba was gone. Yeah, he is gone. So why is he still in my queue? All right, so there you go right there. I want to thank everybody for rocking with your boy through this draft right here. Let's go back full screen draft board, and I can talk about some of the picks that took place after my Diontae Johnson pick. We saw Jahan Dotson. I think Jahan Dotson's a good player. I worry about him being more of a good player for Washington than a fantasy asset. I think he's a good player. I think he's a clutch player. I think he helps Washington win. Not so much sure how he gets your fantasy team. Okay, so tight end is going to be an issue for me as Darren Waller goes. Then we see Isaiah Pacheco go. Marquise Brown goes. Then Evan Ingram goes. Followed by Rashid White, the running back from Tampa Bay. That gets us caught up to speed. Yep, so got plenty of time. We're going to be doing plenty of drafts coming up, you know what I'm saying? So definitely tell a friend to hop in here and get your draft planning done. Definitely going to help you. There goes Alvin Kamara going off the board right there. 3-game suspension. He should appeal it and get it down to 1 if you ask me, but I'm not a big suspension guy. I think suspensions are overblown, especially when the police don't really care too much about what's happening, but I understand the shield is the shield. Right now, top of my queue, Sam Pirine, Rashad Penny, Brian Robinson, Dallas Goedert, all players in my queue right now. See what happens with them. Tight end is going to be an issue. So I don't want to go in Njoku. I don't think it's Dalton Schultz season like a lot of people do. I may have to wait on tight end and take a shot with a couple guys a little bit down the road. Hopefully it pans out. If not, not having a tight end can cause you to to miss out. Sometimes your teams be good, but you don't have that extra piece to really push you over the top, and you're playing tight end chicken on the waiver wire, and sometimes nothing good kept from that spot right there. Brian Robinson goes off the board to close round number 7. Antonio Gibson closes round number 7. Brian Robinson opens up round number 8. We'll probably go through 2 more turns right here into the 10th or 11th round before we get up out of here. But just wanted to kind of get a clue and get some thoughts and processes on and what I'm looking at in boards right now. Brandon Cooks, a player I like a lot out there in Dallas this year. I think Cooks is a guy that I want to get behind. He is going in this range right here. He's probably going to be, I think, very well could be one of the best picks of this draft. There goes Deshaun Watson coming off the board after Dallas Goedert. I'm real scared about Watson this year, to be 100% honest with you guys. He just looked bad last year. And you could say, oh, well, he was rusty. Man, that looked like more than rust last year. That looked like he was some shit. Speaking of some shit, Gabe Davis goes off the board with our latest draft pick as we move through round number 8 of this National Fantasy Football Championship Draft. I'm your boy, Corey Parson, the fantasy executive, right here on the digital streets of YouTube, talking a little fantasy football. Please like, please subscribe, please tell a friend to tell a friend so we can get these numbers up. All right, back to the draft board. Gabe Davis comes off the board. Gabe Davis was a person a lot of people in on last year. Saw him go as high as the 5th round, 4th round in some drafts after having that fantastic playoff run to end the 2021 season. But for the most part, out of some flashes here and there, Gabe Davis was a big old bust. Geno Smith goes off the board. Team 7, Eckler, Bijan, wide receivers, Olave, Watson, Goodwin, and Brown. Add Joe Mixon to that and Geno Smith. Decent team right there. Tua goes off the board right here. Team 6 gets his stack. Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins, Jerry Jeudy, J.K. Dobbins, Isaiah Pacheco, Kyle Pitts, and Tua. The Tua and Tyreek stack is in play for team number 6. Team number 5 on the clock right now. Team number 5 should be looking for that 3rd wide receiver. They grabbed Cortland Sutton. Just as I say that. Listen, I'm not in on the Bronco wide receivers, but I know a lot of people are coming into this year. So, yeah, I'm coming up on the board. Interesting stuff right here because Sam Pirine, I'm going to have to get on this turn. I think I may go with A.J. Dillon, Sam Pirine turn. Take a look at these wide receivers. Nobody I really have to go get here. Treylon Burks, Kadarius Toney, Jordan Addison, Quentin Johnson. Quentin Johnson is interesting. Jameson Williams, who's already suspended. Elijah Moore, Michael Thomas, Zay Flowers, Rashard Bateman, those dudes down there in Baltimore. Who is on the clock right now? Okay, so yeah, it's Khalil Herbert goes off the board. Now I am on the clock, and let me just go ahead and grab Pirine to be safe and see which running back falls to me between A.J. Dillon and Rashard Penny. Hopefully, it's one of those 2 guys, you know what I'm saying? And I don't have to go into that Jamal Williams territory right there or head someplace a little bit further down. So one of those 2 running backs would really help me feel a little bit stronger about what this team has. Late running back, sleeper type running backs that I'll be in on will be guys like Kendre Miller, a guy like Malik Davis in Dallas. Some of the late running backs I'm in on, Michael Carter running back dries up quick. A guy like Deuce Vaughn, Malik Davis, some of those Cowboy running backs I think could be interesting, but really, we're getting into that running back wasteland right now as we are making our selection in round 8, getting ready to come back on that turn. So we'll go through turn 10 and 11, and then we'll hop off the stream. And then really, to be 100% honest with you, after that, I might throw the joint on auto pick. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not drafting 30 rounds a day. I'm sitting here, and I got the air conditioning off because I don't want it blown into the microphone. And it's hot as everything sitting over here right now. But we do this for the people. You know what I mean? All right, so latest pick to go off the board was Jameson Williams and Michael Thomas. It's a pretty good turn right there. I still don't have no tight end. That's going to be a problematic thing. I'm going to have to get my tight end in a little bit later on. So I'm throw a couple guys in my queue. That that second-year player, Okonwu from Tennessee, Tyler Higbee will go in there, as well as Dalton Kincaid. Some of the guys I'll be throwing in my tight end mix, Michael Mayer, Mike Gesicki, and we're really just trying to put it together the best we can. I'm going to have a lot of tight end streams on this one. Hopefully somebody does hit. Ideally right now would like to get A.J. Dillon, so that's a big pick for me. Dak Prescott goes off the board right there, allowing me to take A.J. Dillon and try to start to put this running back crew together. Curious of your thoughts on the way the team is coming together right now. Lamar Jackson as QB1, Jahmyr Gibbs and Javonte Williams to go along with Sam Pirine and A.J. Dillon at the running backs. Wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Jaylen Waddle, Diontae Johnson. I think the wide receivers are clearly the strength of this team. Tight end is a weakness right now, but we got to figure out a way on this next turn. We'll get a tight end and may try to slide back in here and grab a quarterback. Maybe just go ahead and grab Aaron Rodgers or maybe even Anthony Richardson, depending on bye weeks. Okay, both of those guys are clear for the bye week. This way, I could possibly, being that this is the best ball style of format, Aaron Rodgers would give me the opportunity to set up a possible Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers stack, with obviously Lamar being the main guy. And then I will come back and try to see. So, yeah, I want to go quarterback tight end on this next turn. As far as running backs, maybe a Zach Charbonnet is somebody I'm interested in. Devin Achane is somebody I'm interested in a little bit. Like now, these guys are Tank Bigsby's of the world. You know what I'm saying? These are guys that could not hit. So kind of guys you take a flyer on as we get ready to see him in here. Let's go back full board, full screen as we break down some of these picks that took place after I took A.J. Dillon. Elijah Moore goes off the board. A lot of people high on Elijah Moore this year playing for Cleveland. I just worry about that Cleveland offense. If it happens in Cleveland outside of Nick Chubb, I'm probably not going to be a part of it. I've really got to see Watson improve. Maybe I'll take a shot on a lower dollar amount league. But right now, the Deshaun Watson, that Browns offense outside of Nick Chubb is not something that interests me. I'm not going to have Aaron Rodgers as that stack is busted up as Aaron Rodgers goes off the board. Then we get Sky Moore of Kansas City off the board. These Kansas City young wide receivers don't really hit, so I'm not excited about Sky Moore. I know he has good speed. People like him, but we always seem to get these guys that come into KC and can't get nothing done. It's still the Travis Kelce show. Another quarterback in Kirk Cousins goes off the board, followed by Tyler Algier. And then we get Jahmyr Williams and Zach Charbonnet. So my queue is being cleared out pretty solidly. I look at the rest of this team. It's going to be tough to put this one together. Let me slide back over here and come off, go back to the half screen and go look at the draft room and look at some of these quarterbacks that we could possibly get. Jared Goff is still available. Like I said, Anthony Richardson. Jordan Love's a player I like, but you can probably get him real late. And so is guys like Kenny Pickett and Bryce Young. They would be going off the board a little bit later. But I think I got a lot of people already off on week 9. So, yeah, Jared Goff is not going to be on this team. So Anthony Richardson moves to the top of my queue here. And then I got a whole bunch of tight ends. I'd probably go with son from Tennessee. Okonwu, Dalton Kincaid would probably be how I rank them. As far as the rest of the tight ends go, Dalton Schultz is there as well. I'll be taking a look at him, as well as Cole Kmet. Now we're getting into that range where names like Cole Kmet ain't as daunting, you know what I'm saying? Because now I need somebody, and Cole Kmet could be that guy. Recent draft picks, Juju Smith-Schuster and Jared Goff. Team 11 has drafted 5 straight wide receivers: Terry McLaurin, Mike Williams, George Pickens, Brandon Cooks, Juju Smith-Schuster to go along with, and Deebo Samuel to go along with Saquon Barkley, Aaron Jones, and Josh Allen. A pretty solid team. Want to see what that running back depth look like, though. Team 12, waiting on quarterbacks, goes back-to-back quarterbacks with Jared Goff and Russell Wilson. Could be interesting. They also have CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Amari Cooper, TJ Hawkinson, and then they're going to try to have to hit it at running back with James Cook, David Montgomery, Antonio Gibson, and Brian Robinson. Dalton Schultz goes off the board, followed by Jerick McKinnon. So my tight end options are getting less and less. I may have to go to Njoku, which would not be ideal. And why is Anthony Richardson not in my queue anymore? Did he get picked already too? Anthony Richardson is still at the top of my queue. All right, so there you go right there. Don't got to worry about Rich. All right, let's go back full screen, watch the draft for a little bit until I get on the board. Go ahead and break it down. Starting to look at some of these teams. Don't really see no real dynamic stacks being built yet. Got the Tua and the Hill one. That looks pretty good. Jalen Hurts stack is not there. Trevor, Dak Prescott. You got Dak and Pollard on the same team. I got Lamar Jackson. I don't have Mark Andrews or nobody like that. Justin Fields is on a team with Drake London, Jahan Dotson, Mike Williams. So, yeah, really nobody's going the stack route on this one right here. At least it hasn't really developed yet. So there you go. Back to what's going on the board. Jerick McKinnon, Rashad Penny, and Romeo Doubs, the last couple guys to go off the board right there. Jordan Addison, player in Minnesota, rookie wide receiver. A lot of people are in on. I think he can be a good player as well. I worry about that offense. Now, this guy does have Kirk Cousins and Jordan Addison. I wouldn't call that a stack. Obviously, the stack is with the guy I got, Justin Jefferson. So, yeah, getting ready to come up on the fantasy executive pick. Once again, I want to thank everybody for hanging in there, rocking with your boy. Don't forget to subscribe. Get us over 100 subscribers. And keep subscribing. Get us over 100. Get us over 200. And once again, I want to thank everybody. Listen, your comments on the draft, please leave them down there in the comment section so we can get the conversation started, because we can help each other win in fantasy football this year. Matt Stafford just goes off the board. A lot of people that don't already have a second quarterback in these last couple rounds starting to grab their second quarterback. I think my goal right here is to go Anthony Richardson and Okonwu, the tight end from Tennessee. Then after that, we'll finish off round number 11, and then we'll send you into whatever else you're trying to do. Definitely want to thank. There goes Quentin Johnson, the rookie wide receiver. I'm on deck now. So let's get ready to make this draft pick. Look in this draft room. If I can get my guy Anthony Richardson right here, I'd feel pretty good about my quarterback situation with Lamar Jackson and Anthony Richardson. But I'm going to need to get that tight end as well. Now, the two teams behind me. So the teams around me, you got team 1 that's going to be drafting after me, has 2 tight ends. Team 2 also has 1 tight end. Team 4 has Travis Kelce. He's on the clock right now. I don't think he's going to take a tight end. So listen, I'm kind of playing chicken here because the Jalen Hurts team could very well take Anthony Richardson. All right, so Treylon Burks goes off the board. I'm on the clock now. I am going to take Anthony Richardson and cross my fingers that I get the Tennessee Titans tight end Okonwu coming up. So 3 picks until we get right there, and then we'll see what happens. Dak Prescott was this team's last selection. Gives him a quarterback duo of Trevor Lawrence and Dak Prescott to go along with Devontae Smith, Christian Kirk, Tyler Lockett, running backs McCaffrey, Pollard, and Dameon Pierce. I like the McCaffrey-Pollard duo. That's a strong start right there from the running back position. Gus the Bus, Gus Edwards goes off the board. All right, Jalen Hurts, team 1. Jalen Hurts, Ramondre Stevenson, James Conner, DJ Moore, JSN, Jameson Williams, Michael Thompson, George Kittle, and Mark Andrews, dual tight ends, but not really great wide receivers. He grabs Elijah Mitchell right there to be his running back 3. Then he takes the 49ers defense. My man, Chigoziem Okonwu, sitting at the top of my board. If I can get him, I'd feel pretty good about how this team worked out so far. Team 2 on the clock. All right, he takes Odell Beckham. Interesting pick right there. He takes Odell Beckham. That could have been a part of my stack. I'm not sure that Odell Beckham is really a stackable wide receiver this year. I'm going to grab my tight end, and then I'm going to put Zay Flowers into my queue. Now, he may get ate up, but Zay Flowers will go into my queue. He's probably not going to be there. I'll throw Bateman in there as well, just to give, somebody for Lamar to throw the football to in there. So let me go ahead and take a look at my team right now. A potential starting lineup would be Lamar Jackson at quarterback, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Javonte Williams at running back. Wide receivers, the strength of this team, Justin Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Jaylen Waddle at wide receiver 3. My flex play will either be between Diontae Johnson and A.J. Dillon, more than likely Diontae Johnson, tight end Okonwu from Tennessee. So once again, I want to thank everybody for hanging in there with me, going through a couple of rounds of this NFFC draft. Curious to get your thoughts on the squad. Let me know what's up, and don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to tell a friend and tell a friend. Your boy Corey Parson, the Fantasy Executive. Thanks for rocking with me on the Fantasy Executive Show Special Edition, live draft edition, right here on these digital YouTube streets, right here on the Executive Network. Thanks a lot, everybody. We out.